Millions of these coins were made, but only a few have the features collectors truly want. The question is, do you have one of the special examples hiding at home? Stay with us as we uncover the clues that could make your coin worth a closer look. Have you ever looked at an old penny and wondered if it could completely change your life? It may sound unbelievable, but that tiny 1-cent coin sitting in a forgotten jar, an old wallet, or the bottom of a drawer could be hiding a story that collectors dream about. Every year, thousands of people unknowingly spend coins that are later discovered to have unusual features, rare minting mistakes, or extraordinary condition. Those are exactly the kinds of coins that attract serious collectors at auction, where bidding can become incredibly competitive. If you have a 1995 Lincoln cent, don't put it aside just yet, because by the end of this video you'll know exactly what to look for before you ever spend it. Welcome back to the channel. If you enjoy discovering hidden treasures hiding in everyday pocket change, make sure you stay with us until the very end, because today's coin has surprised collectors for years. The 1995 Lincoln cent is one of those fascinating coins that many people overlook simply because millions were produced. At first glance it seems ordinary, but experienced collectors know that appearances can be deceiving. The most valuable coins are often the ones that no one expected to become special, and auctions have proven time and time again that rarity is not always about age. Sometimes it's about a tiny detail that almost everyone misses. The Lincoln cent has one of the longest histories of any American coin. Introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it became the first regularly circulating United States coin to feature the portrait of a real historical figure. Before that, American coins typically displayed symbolic images rather than presidents. Since its introduction, generations of Americans have carried Lincoln cents in their pockets, used them for everyday purchases, saved them in piggy banks, and passed them down through families. By 1995, the Lincoln cent had already become one of the most recognized coins in the United States. Billions of pennies were produced every year because they were still heavily used in daily commerce. Children collected them, businesses counted them by the thousands, and banks handled endless rolls of fresh coins arriving directly from the United States Mint. Because so many were produced, very few people imagined that certain examples would someday become highly desirable collector pieces. The obverse of the 1995 Lincoln cent features Victor David Brenner's famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing to the right. Above Lincoln appears the motto, "In God We Trust." To the left is the word "Liberty," while the date 1995 appears on the right side. Depending on where the coin was struck, you may also notice a small mint mark beneath the date. Coins struck in Philadelphia generally have no mint mark, while those from Denver display a small D. Turn the coin over and you'll find the familiar Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959. At the top appears United States of America, with the motto E Pluribus Unum above the memorial and 1 cent boldly displayed across the bottom. If you look closely inside the memorial, you can actually see a tiny image of Lincoln sitting in the center, making this one of the few U.S. coins where the same historical figure appears on both sides. The 1995 cent is made primarily from zinc with a thin copper plating. Since 1982, most Lincoln cents have been produced using this composition to reduce production costs. Each coin weighs approximately 2.5 grams and measures about 19 millimeters in diameter. While these specifications seem ordinary, collectors often use them to verify authenticity because unusual weight or composition can sometimes indicate an error worth investigating. One of the reasons collectors love the 1995 Lincoln cent is that it reminds everyone that valuable coins don't always come from the distant past. Many people assume only coins from the early 1900s or the 1800s are collectible, but modern coins can become just as exciting when something unusual happens during production. Minting millions of coins every day is an incredibly precise process, yet even the best equipment occasionally produces mistakes. Those mistakes are exactly what experienced collectors hope to discover. Auction houses have demonstrated repeatedly that collectors are willing to pay impressive amounts for coins that combine rarity, eye appeal, and certified authenticity. During major coin auctions, rare Lincoln cents often receive intense attention from bidders who have spent years searching for missing pieces in their collections. Sometimes the bidding starts slowly, then suddenly accelerates as multiple collectors compete for the same coin. Watching those auctions unfold reminds everyone that even a humble 1-cent coin can generate remarkable excitement when it possesses the right characteristics. Of course, not every 1995 penny is valuable simply because it exists. Most examples remain common and circulate as ordinary pocket change. The real challenge is learning how to separate an ordinary coin from one that deserves a closer look. That's where knowledge becomes your greatest advantage. A tiny detail that many people ignore could completely change how collectors view the coin. Imagine opening an old coin jar that has been sitting untouched for 20 years. Inside are hundreds of pennies collected from grocery stores, gas stations, restaurants, and everyday purchases. Most people would simply exchange them at the bank without a second thought. But experienced collectors know that every single coin deserves at least a quick inspection because you never know when one unusual example might appear. Stories like these are one reason coin collecting continues to grow around the world. Many remarkable discoveries begin with ordinary people who know almost nothing about numismatics. Someone inherits a collection from a grandparent. Another person cleans out an old dresser. A family discovers forgotten rolls of pennies stored in the basement. Curious owners start searching online, comparing dates and designs, and eventually decide to have certain coins examined by experts. In some cases, those coins later appear at prestigious auctions, attracting bids from collectors across the country. The excitement isn't just about money. It's also about solving a mystery. Every unusual coin has a story. How did it leave the mint? Why did no one notice it earlier? How many similar examples exist? Could there be more still hiding in circulation? These unanswered questions are part of what makes collecting so addictive. The 1995 Lincoln cent has become especially interesting because several varieties and minting errors have earned strong attention among collectors. While millions of normal coins exist, the truly unusual pieces are much harder to find. When authenticated and graded by respected third-party grading services, these special examples often become stars at major auctions where serious collectors compete to own them. Before you assume your penny is ordinary, you'll want to know the specific features that experts immediately search for. Some can be spotted with nothing more than a magnifying glass and good lighting, while others require a trained eye. In the next part, we'll examine the rare varieties, valuable mint errors, and the tiny details that could make your 1995 Lincoln cent stand out from billions of others. Have you ever wondered whether the smallest coin in your pocket could be worth far more than anyone would ever imagine? It sounds impossible at first, but stories like this have amazed collectors for decades. Every year, ordinary people unknowingly spend coins that later become the stars of major auctions. A single penny may look exactly like millions of others, yet one tiny detail can completely change its story. If you have a 1982 Lincoln 1-cent coin, don't spend it until you've watched this entire video, because this could be one of the most fascinating coins ever produced by the United States Mint. Coin collectors search through thousands of pennies every single day hoping to discover one extraordinary example. And some of the biggest surprises have appeared during competitive auctions where rare coins attract bidders from around the world. Your coin may look ordinary today, but by the end of this video you'll understand why experienced collectors never ignore a 1982 penny. The Lincoln cent has been part of American history since 1909, becoming the first regular United States coin to feature the portrait of a real historical figure. Abraham Lincoln's image has remained one of the most recognizable designs in American coinage, passing through the hands of countless generations. Every penny tells a story, but the 1982 Lincoln cent tells one of the most important stories in modern United States coin history, because this was the year everything changed. Most people have no idea that 1982 was unlike any other year for the Lincoln cent. Rising copper prices forced the United States Mint to make a dramatic decision. For decades, Lincoln cents had been struck primarily from copper, giving them a familiar weight and appearance. However, production costs continued increasing until the Mint finally introduced a completely new composition. Instead of producing every cent from mostly copper, the Mint began making coins with a zinc core covered by a thin layer of copper. This single decision created one of the most interesting collecting challenges in American numismatics. During 1982, both the older heavy copper cents and the newer lighter zinc cents were produced. That means two coins with the same date can actually be made from completely different metals and have different weights. Collectors immediately recognized that this unusual transition year would become historically important. Instead of just one standard version, multiple varieties entered circulation, making 1982 one of the most studied Lincoln cents ever produced. Even today, experienced collectors carefully examine every 1982 penny they find, because identifying the correct variety is the first step toward determining whether a coin deserves special attention. At first glance, every 1982 penny appears identical. Abraham Lincoln faces right on the front with "I in God we trust" above his head, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1982 on the right. Depending on where the coin was struck, you may see no mint mark for Philadelphia or a small D beneath the date for Denver. Turn the coin over, and you'll see the familiar Lincoln Memorial surrounded by United States of America, E pluribus unum, in 1 cent. The design seems simple enough, but hidden beneath that familiar appearance are important differences that collectors eagerly search for before offering a coin at auction. One of the easiest ways to separate certain varieties is by weighing the coin. The earlier copper version weighs approximately 3.11 grams, while the later zinc version weighs around 2.5 grams. That small difference may not sound significant, but for collectors it changes everything. A simple digital scale capable of measuring to 1/100th of a gram has become one of the most useful tools in modern coin collecting. Auction specialists often verify weight before examining any potential rarity, because composition plays a major role in identifying valuable examples. Another fascinating feature of the 1982 Lincoln cent involves the size of the date. During production, the mint used both large date and small date designs. The differences are subtle, but once you know what to look for, they become much easier to recognize. The shape of the numbers, especially the 2, 8, and the spacing between digits, helps experts identify the correct variety. Collectors often spend hours comparing these tiny details using magnification because one variety may be far scarcer than another. It's incredible to think that a small difference in the date can create tremendous excitement whenever a rare example appears at auction. The combination of different compositions, different date styles, and different mint locations resulted in several major varieties for the same year. Philadelphia produced both large date and small date coins in copper and zinc compositions. Denver also struck large date and small date versions, creating one of the most complicated yet fascinating years for Lincoln cent collectors. Most of these combinations are readily available, but some are considerably scarcer than others. That is exactly why serious collectors never ignore a 1982 penny, no matter how ordinary it may appear. Every major coin auction reminds collectors that rarity often hides in plain sight. Experienced bidders know they are not simply purchasing a penny. They are buying history, scarcity, condition, and authenticity. When a remarkable example appears in an auction catalog, excitement quickly spreads throughout the collecting community. Some bidders have searched for years hoping to acquire the right variety in exceptional condition. Others compete because they know opportunities to purchase elite examples may not come again for a long time. The atmosphere during these auctions demonstrates how one small coin can capture enormous attention. Most people never inspect the pennies they receive in change. They drop them into jars, piggy banks, desk drawers, or old coffee cans without giving them another thought. Years later, those forgotten collections often become treasure hunts. Families sorting inherited coins occasionally discover unusual pieces that deserve professional examination. Some of those discoveries eventually appear at respected auctions after authentication and grading, proving once again that remarkable finds can come from the most ordinary places. The excitement surrounding the 1982 Lincoln cent isn't based only on age. Millions of coins from this year survive, but condition plays an enormous role in value. A coin that has never circulated retains its original mint luster, sharp details, and clean surfaces. Such examples are far more desirable than heavily worn coins. Professional grading services carefully examine every surface under magnification before assigning a numerical grade. Even a small increase in grade can dramatically affect auction results, especially when collectors compete for the finest certified examples. There is another reason why experienced collectors continue searching through rolls of 1982 pennies. During years of massive production, minting errors occasionally escaped quality control. These mistakes transform otherwise ordinary coins into fascinating collectibles. Some errors are obvious immediately, while others require careful examination. Because collectors understand how rare genuine mint errors can be, authenticated examples often generate significant excitement whenever they appear for sale at auction. That is why knowledgeable collectors inspect every detail before deciding whether a coin deserves further evaluation. The most exciting discoveries rarely happen overnight. They come from patience, careful observation, and understanding exactly what makes one coin different from another. Every collector dreams about finding an overlooked rarity that everyone else missed. While most 1982 pennies remain ordinary, a select few possess characteristics that make them stand out among millions of others. Those special coins remind us that history, craftsmanship, and a little bit of luck sometimes come together in the palm of your hand. And the deeper we explore the rare varieties and famous minting errors connected with the 1982 Lincoln cent, the more you'll understand why this humble penny continues attracting attention from collectors and appearing in important auctions decades after it was first struck. Have you ever checked the coins sitting inside your old jar, drawer, or wallet and wondered if one of them could be hiding a surprising secret? A small copper-colored coin that many people ignore every day could have a story that collectors find incredibly fascinating. The truth is that not every old coin becomes valuable, but some coins gain attention because of rare varieties, unusual mistakes, exceptional condition, or historical importance. The 1991 Lincoln 1 cent is one of those coins that continues to attract curiosity from collectors who know that sometimes the smallest details can make the biggest difference. Before you spend a 1991 penny or throw it into a pile of common coins, take a closer look because understanding what makes a coin special is the first step every successful collector learns. Around the world, collectors search through millions of coins hoping to discover an overlooked treasure, and many exciting discoveries have started with something as simple as someone examining a forgotten penny at home. The Lincoln cent has been a symbol of American history for more than a century. Since its introduction in 1909, it has carried the image of Abraham Lincoln, one of the most respected presidents in United States history. For generations, these tiny coins have passed from person to person, traveling through stores, banks, homes, and family collections. While many people see a penny as just a 1-cent piece, collectors see something completely different. They see a piece of history created by the United States Mint, a small object that represents the economy, technology, and everyday life of the time when it was produced. The year 1991 was an interesting period for the Lincoln cent. The United States was entering a new decade, technology was advancing quickly, and the penny continued playing an important role in daily transactions. Millions of Lincoln cents were produced that year, making them easy to find in circulation. Because of the large production numbers, most 1991 pennies are common today. However, collectors know that a coin's value is not always determined only by how many were made. Sometimes, the condition, mint mark, variety, or a rare production mistake can completely change the way collectors view a coin. The front of the 1991 Lincoln cent features the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. Above Lincoln's head appears the phrase, "In God We Trust." To the left is the word liberty, and the date 1991 appears on the right side. If you look below the date, you may notice a small mint mark showing where the coin was produced. Coins from Philadelphia usually have no mint mark, while coins from Denver carry a small D. This tiny letter may seem insignificant, but mint marks are extremely important in coin collecting because they help identify where a coin was made and sometimes reveal differences in rarity. On the reverse side, the coin displays the Lincoln Memorial, a design that had been used on the cent since 1959. Around the memorial are the words United States of America and E Pluribus Unum, while 1 cent appears at the bottom. Many people have held this design thousands of times without realizing that tiny differences or unusual features could make certain examples more interesting to collectors. This is what makes coin collecting exciting. The possibility that something ordinary could contain an unexpected story keeps collectors searching. The 1991 Lincoln cent was produced during a time when the mint used modern manufacturing techniques designed to create billions of identical coins. However, even with advanced technology, mistakes can still happen. Coins are created through a complex process involving metal preparation, blank production, striking, and quality inspection. A small problem at any stage can create a coin with unusual characteristics. These errors are among the most fascinating discoveries because they represent moments when the normal production process did not go exactly as planned. Serious collectors often examine 1991 pennies looking for signs of unusual features. They check the lettering, the date, the portrait details, the edges, and the overall condition. A magnifying glass and proper lighting can reveal details that are almost impossible to notice with the naked eye. Sometimes a tiny difference can separate a normal coin from a collectible example that attracts attention from specialists. Major coin auctions have shown time and time again that collectors are willing to compete strongly for rare and high-quality coins. When an unusual Lincoln cent appears with professional certification and strong eye appeal, it can create excitement among bidders. The reason is simple. Collectors are not only buying metal. They are buying rarity, history, and the opportunity to own something few others possess. Every auction tells a story about what collectors value and what features make a coin stand out. Of course, finding a valuable 1991 Lincoln cent is not as simple as finding any coin with that date. The majority of these pennies are worth only their face value or a small amount above that, depending on condition and demand. The real interest comes from discovering special examples that have something different about them. Collectors understand that patience and knowledge are more important than simply searching for old dates. Even a modern coin can become exciting when it contains the right characteristics. One of the biggest factors affecting the desirability of a 1991 Lincoln cent is condition. A coin that spent decades circulating in pockets and cash registers will usually show scratches, fading, and wear. However, a coin preserved carefully from the moment it was produced can maintain sharp details and original shine. These high-quality examples attract collectors because they represent the coin exactly as it looked when it first left the mint. Professional grading companies examine these coins carefully, and certified examples often receive more attention during sales and auctions. Another fascinating part of collecting is learning how many different stories can exist behind the same coin. Two people might own a 1991 penny that looks almost identical, but one could have a unique feature that changes everything. This is why experienced collectors never judge a coin too quickly. They take time to study it, compare it with known examples, and understand the details that separate ordinary pieces from special ones. The excitement of searching for rare coins has inspired millions of people to begin collecting. Some started with a simple jar of change, while others inherited collections from family members. Many collectors say the most rewarding part is not just the possibility of finding a valuable coin, but the journey of learning about history and discovering something new. The 1991 Lincoln cent represents that same feeling. It reminds us that fascinating discoveries can sometimes be hidden in the most common places. As we continue exploring this coin, we will look deeper into the varieties, possible errors, identification tips, and the factors that collectors examine before deciding whether a 1991 Lincoln cent deserves special attention. Because sometimes, the difference between an ordinary penny and a collector's treasure is only a tiny detail waiting to be discovered.